Live with my man, head coach, the Brooklyn College Bulldogs, Jean-Baptiste. Something to invite. We're just waiting.
Hey, what up, baby?
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on, my man?
I'm good, man. I'm good, man. Let me clear this up real quick.
So, man, welcome to the All Leaving Podcast special edition interview. You know what I mean? I got one of my brothers. You know what I mean? I known him for a long time. This is my dude, my ace Boone Coon, head coach of the Brooklyn College Bulldogs, the 2020 CUNY champs. You know what I'm saying? Jean-Baptiste, how you doing, my man? What's good?
I'm good, man. Can't complain, man. You know, my brother, he bigged this up a lot, man. So I just come show face, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, let's start, I guess, with how it all started. Like, I know, you being a player, like you went to Brooklyn College. Like, talk about your playing career. How you started and how things went and how you felt your college career ended.
My career in a whole, obviously, I started out in Queens, at Holy Cross High School, in the Catholic School League. I was a fairly decent player.
Yeah.
Came to Brooklyn, and it gave me a place where I can kind of evolve as a player individually. I was able to kind of transform what I kind of identified myself as a player in high school into, having a space where I can kind of create this new, identity that I ended up creating, in Brooklyn College. So definitely, going there and, the people over there embracing me and allowing me to grow into the player that I was kind of very, good for my development as a player, which eventually led into a lot of the other things that, allowed to develop, as a coach.
Yeah.
So, throughout my career in Brooklyn College, I was able to kind of, grow, being able to start as a freshman. I didn't start in the beginning, but towards the middle of my freshman year, being able to start and kind of, learn on the fly, which, not a lot of players are, given that opportunity. So being able to learn on the fly and definitely hone my skills and develop into a player that, I feel I made a decent career where I was able to finish out at the time, top three scorer, leaving to leave Brooklyn College. Unfortunately we weren't able to get as many wins as I would liked during that time frame, but I definitely think the time that I spent during that time of trying to, get better and win games definitely helped me develop a format into, creating an atmosphere that, that cultivates winning.
Yeah, nah, definitely, man. Definitely. Like, it's always good to like go to a program that you feel can be able to benefit you in different facets of your life, like whether it be on court, whether it be growing as an individual, like, you learn so much from that level that, you take it on, as you go on in life. So it's definitely a great thing that you learn so many good things from there. You met a lot of friends from there and all that. Like your foundation is Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? And that's what really, like, it's very important that, our listeners and everybody that's watching, like, they understand is that what you've created came from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? And, it's very, very important. Now, what made you decide to, after you graduated to, be an assistant coach? Like, what drove you in that direction? Like, you could have did anything. You could have, went on to do whatever, but you chose to give back. You know what I'm saying? You chose to give back your time and want to develop your education further in regards to basketball. So, what kind of pushed you in that direction?
I would say that I would wish to say that it was my decision, but honestly, it kind of just happened. It started even before I even, it was actually while I was playing my senior year. I was having a great senior year. I was averaging like 22, 23 in the beginning
Yeah.
of the season. And then I had got hurt. I had partially torn some ligaments in my ankle. So during the time, I'm starting to be on the bench now.
Yeah.
Like I got to start helping create the game plan. I'm
Right.
to help my teammates win. So, I'm talking to the coaching staff, XYZ. So I remember we were at Lehman College and we're on the bench. The team is on the layup line. And my coach, I don't know if I went over there and spoke to him. I can't remember, but I'm on the bench. And he came over to me. He was like, once you graduate and if you, choose to, not do the overseas thing or do something else, you can always come back and coach with me. And, I take it for what it is because I'm still in player mode. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm coming back next week, So, yeah, so the season goes, continues. I eventually end up coming back. I wasn't really quite the same player with the injury. But once the season was over and he had got me on this exposure team, we went to France. I played for a couple of games, but I just wasn't into the whole overseas thing. I just did it honestly because he told me he wanted me to do it.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
came back, I spoke to him. I said, you know what? I still got like a year, like a half a semester to do. So let me just coach. And honestly, that was probably, one of the best decisions I've made, being able to, jump on that staff, being able to now take my lessons and kind of cultivate it into more of a mentor coaching, aspect.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. So, what have you learned in regards to like moving up the ranks, assistant coach to now being the head coach? Like, what has actually changed with your approach? What have you learned? What have you kind of adapted to or kind of, took from other people and put into your own strategy? Because, being a head coach it's a hard job. Like it's a thankless job because you develop so many young minds and not all the time you get the appreciation. Like when things are good, things are, they say the players did well, but when things go bad, sometimes it's more than most, they look at the coach. So, how was it being a head coach? Were you able to kind of adapt to that quickly or did it take you time to adjust?
I mean, obviously, going from the assistant coach to the head coach is an adjustment within itself, just on just the different ramifications that come with every decision you make. But, and I don't want to say I was kind of like, kind of grown into the, that position, but I felt during the, 13 years that I was an assistant, I was constantly thinking myself in that position all the time. So I was kind of prepping myself for that
Mentally,
kind of
yeah.
for that time for so long. Not saying that I wanted it so bad. Like I was like, oh, it's not like every year I was like, next year I'm gonna be a head coach. Just visualizing me being a head coach. If I'm an assistant coach, if I'm I want to put myself in his shoes, how I'm gonna help him, be in the position that he's in. So I was kind of already creating that kind of idea for myself so that when I did become a head coach, it wasn't so different. It was definitely had a lot of mental breakdowns already created in my mind that, it was kind of like just revisiting them and just executing what I had already kind of came up with. But obviously
Definitely.
there is some adjustments, and I definitely learned from my first year to my second year, just the longevity of a season, the different, mental breakdowns of a season, just the different things that you only learn with experience. You can prepare for it as much as you can, but not until you go through it, then you start to realize or get a feel for certain things that you obviously can get a feel for once you've gone through it.
Yeah, definitely, man. So like, do you feel that, having such early success, is that preparing you for when things are not so great? Because, we all know how basketball is. There's times where it's going to be real great and there's times where it's not. And you still have to be this even keel, leader of men. So, is winning early, I want to say, is it a negative thing or is it actually can be able to springboard you to kind of prepare for other things? Because normally it's always the other way around. Like you struggle a little bit and then you reach that peak, you reach that mountaintop, and it's like, okay, I understood what it was down here. now I can embrace the winning more. Like, how is it possibly that it might be reversed, or maybe you just continue with this type of success? You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel about that particular aspect of it?
Listen, man, so it's always better to win, man. Always better to win. But honestly, it one of the things about winning early, I would say, is it validates a lot of things.
Yeah,
Obviously, being an assistant coach, and I was under some good coaches that won championships as well, and watching them do it and seeing the things that they had to do in order to win the championship, you kind of always question to see if you can live up to that kind of standard. And,
right,
and obviously, winning, helped validate, you know, some of the things that I thought about myself or what
right,
other people believed in me,
right.
So I would say winning definitely does help. I wouldn't have wanted to lose the first 2 years because then at that point, you're still
And,
questioning to see if you can live up to those kind of standards. But
right, right, right,
even through the winning though, I mean, whether we went 25-0, and even in the year that we won the championship, we were a sub 500 team record.
right.
There are highs and lows,
Yeah,
and there's learning lessons throughout it all, and those, believe it or not, tend to be some of the better stories because of all the um, mishaps you've gone through, or the learning lessons that you had to go through. This past year, we were projected to be the best team in the conference, number one in the conference throughout the year, and we had our ups. We started out. I think we started out. I can't remember. We started out like 1-7, but we were playing
yeah.
really, really, really good teams, like top 25 ranked teams. But I did that to kind of prepare them to play at that level, so that if we were to win the championship, we can compete in the NCAA tournament. But we started winning some conference games, then fell victim to some injuries. Our team got sick. We've had issues with academics.
Yeah.
So we went through a lot of the trials and tribulations of any college basketball team. So I was definitely able to take those experiences, and kind of learn from them, and see how I can kind of push my team through to the next stage, even though we're going through all these different things. But one of the things that I would say is that I was fortunate just to have a group of kids that when we did say things as coaches, that they truly did believe it, and
They bought in. Yeah.
For them to look at a coach who really didn't have a lot of head coach experience and really value everything that I said, or my assistant coaches said, was kind of one of the key factors in us actually doing the things we did, even through all the kind of bad things that was happening throughout the year.
No, definitely, man. That's dope. That's what's up. Like, you got that respect from them early on. The fact that they bought in, and as a head coach, the most important thing is to get your players to buy into what you're preaching. You know what I mean? Because if everybody's on board and they're bought in, special things can happen. And obviously you saw that. You know what I mean? Like, you had a plan, you had a vision. They would just, they just had to see it. They had to ride with you. They saw it early, and then you guys definitely benefited from that. So, what is the current landscape in regards to COVID and all this stuff? Like, how is next season coming along? Like, what's going on with that?
Well, as obviously, for the most part, it's kind of manifested into, I wouldn't say a free for all, but for the most part, everything in their lane is kind of going the way that they choose to go. It's not like an all across the board thing.
Yeah.
So this time, it's obviously Division Ones, they're playing, Division Twos are playing sparingly, and then Division Threes, they're playing sparingly as well. But unfortunately for my school and our conference, they have canceled the season, so we are looking to have a season for the upcoming fall. And
Gotcha.
and that's just some of the downfall in just the school that I'm at. But obviously there
Right.
are other schools, a lot of private institutions that are having seasons that are somewhat creating a way for them to keep the kids involved in some form of fashion. But it's still a wait and see kind of thing for us in the area that we are in right now. So right now we're just doing the most that we can, trying to keep the kids engaged as much as we can, recruiting as much as we can, and hoping for the best.
Definitely, definitely. So how has recruiting been? Like, has it been a little bit of a challenge to be able to say, hey, You know, the last time we were on the court, we were the champs. So like, is that the selling point, or is it, you know, you got to kind of figure out different ways to kind of, you know, get them to buy in?
Right now, it I don't want to say it sounds too far removed, but it sounds too far removed from the championship to have
Yeah,
that as a selling point. You know, I
yeah,
mean, the championships are great, but we can't we don't necessarily sell them championships. We sell them the program. You know,
gotcha.
and we try to create an atmosphere or and you know and show them a way in which they fit within the program, and eventually leads into like you know academic success and then eventually you know athletic success. So
Definitely.
we you know obviously you know telling them we won a championship and then and them seeing us win a championship just you know let them know that okay, this is a program that can win a championship, but doesn't mean that you know when they come in they're guaranteed that they have to
Right.
pretty much follow what we do in within the program, which should put us in a good position to win the championship. So recruiting is very different this year. Obviously, you know a lot of the virtual recruiting is going on. You know you do a lot of virtual tours. You're not really getting a chance to see a lot of kids, so you have to really, you know, hone in on a lot of your connections that you have with coaches to kind of, you know, push you in the right direction right now. So, and there's a lot of rules being implemented that's allowing a lot of players to come back. So seniors
Good.
that
Okay.
would have graduated last year, you know, now they're returning. So it's all about seeing, you know, what spots that we have available and, you know, and who can come in and help us win the championship.
No, that's cool, man. That's definitely dope. Like, you know, and I'm sure you have your system figured out, and you'll be able to put a good team on the court when it's time for it. But you know, what we do on this show is we talk sports, Jeff. So, you know, we're gonna go ahead and talk some stuff. So, you know, the first thing I want to talk about actually is, you know, we'll just stick with the NCAA. Like, you know, we see that college basketball, in my opinion, at the D1 level, it's not drawing the interest that it normally did, because obviously COVID is going on. There's a lot of stuff you know, going on. But the most important thing to me that's the problem is this one and done rule is really looking like it's becoming a big hindrance on the college football system. I mean, college basketball system. Like, you know, you heard about the story of Jalen Johnson, Duke prospect. You know, he ended up foregoing the rest of the season, but there's a lot of muddied stories out there saying that he might have, you know, quit because Coach K benched him for the first, you know, for those last 3 games, and you know, that wasn't the deal that they had in place or whatever it was, or that wasn't what he thought his experience would be, and that's why he foregoed it. Like, do you think that this is a problem where these highly touted recruits are coming into these programs and they think that they're the ones that are running this program instead of the actual head coach and the ADs? Like, do you think that there is an actual issue going on here where, you know, college basketball is going to suffer?
There's pros and cons, I think, me personally. One and done obviously does a lot to hurt programs, you know, individually in a sense that, like, again, you're dealing with a kid that you know won't be there past the year that you recruit him. But believe it or not, before the one and dones was implemented, college basketball was starting to suffer due to ratings as well. It wasn't as interesting back then, and this was kind of something that kind of revitalized people's enthusiasm to
Right.
watch college basketball again, because then now you have these hoop phenoms coming in for 1 year of college basketball, and you know obviously they're talented and they're elite. They're coming in and they're kind of you know making waves as soon as they come step on campus. So it kind of helped college basketball, but then again, when you come across these stories, you know this is the bad side of it. You know where you have these kids who come in and they have an opportunity to do things that more than likely other players don't have the opportunity to do. They have now with the other different platforms that they can use with the G League. There's so many different paths to the NBA. They don't have to follow the necessary plan that's been kind of the standard in route to the NBA. So yeah, it's a detriment, but it's both ways. And the hard part about it is that there will never be a concise way on how to deal with these talented players. And it's all about, what's the best way that it can suit the needs to, I guess, any kind of, I guess, platform,
Yeah.
whether it be NBA, whether it be college, whether it be, social media platforms, because that's becoming a big thing now. Because, now it's all about generating, money, the paying college players and stuff like that. So I don't think that it's gonna never be an issue that can be resolved. It'll just be something that will just be kind of like tinkered with as we go along, as the times change, and and eventually when the bad starts to overwhelm what they created it for, they'll just change it again. So it's just something that that's just a part of sports, and I think it won't stop now, and especially if they get rid of it, because again they put it back because they wanted to bring back the ratings, and so if they get rid of it and the ratings go down, what's going to happen after that? They're going to find another way to get them right back in.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's my take on it.
I mean, I look at it from, and I definitely see your point. I just look at it from an institutional standpoint, where it's like, I remember the days you can go get yourself a 3-star recruit and watch him mature and develop into an All-American player. You can see, you're seeing that maturation process, and possibly go be a draft pick, be a prospect. But so much attention is being put on these one and done kids that everybody else is starting to get lost in the sauce. And it's like, if you're not a 19-year-old one and done, you're now a 22, 23-year-old, and you're looked at as an old person. You know what I'm saying? When you're just starting off your career, and it's already a negative on you going into the draft. It's just, I just would like the whole system to change. Just because you stay 4 years in college doesn't mean that you're a terrible player. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that you did it because you had to stay. Maybe you wanted to stay. Maybe you wanted to get more development. Maybe you love the situation. It didn't matter. It doesn't take away from your skill set. It's just the fact that you wanted to stay a little longer. So it's like, I would love the narrative to change. And until that changes, I think on a whole, college basketball will suffer because of that. Because a lot of kids are not getting their recognition because there's so much attention on these one and dones.
You know what it is, BJ? You're what you call a basketball purist.
I am. I can't deny it, bro. I can't deny it.
And you look at it in a set way, and anything that kind of goes, I wouldn't say go against it, but kind of take away from that pure form of basketball, definitely, can kind of, make you upset in the way it's going.
Yeah, I feel like the old man sometimes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's happening, and obviously it starts from the top. It starts with the NBA. It's how they evaluate players, and the way they evaluate players basically changes the landscapes of basketball every time. Obviously, when they start to put the value on these, players that have, great skill set and the size to match, that changed the landscape of basketball. Now, we had 7-footers that were post players, and now they're perimeter players.
Not a shooters,
because the NBA changed the value of it, So if the NBA is going to change the value on, we're going to give premium dollars to, a 19-year-old player with potential over a 23-year-old established college player. What do you think is going to happen with the landscape of basketball?
That's right. Yeah.
Their opportunity to get premium dollars is going to be, I'm going to leave when my value is at its highest, so I'm leaving at 19 rather than staying 3 years.
Right.
So it's pretty much how the NBA, pretty much sets the bar for things that kind of, transcend the game of basketball. And, whether we like it or not, the people that's in the game of basketball are trying to figure out how they fit in, and they're going to find a way to put themselves in the best situation, whether, it goes hand in hand with like some of the basketball purist theories.
Yeah.
But, that's pretty much how it always kind of translates within the game of basketball.
No, that's facts. That's big facts. Big facts. I would never disagree with you in regards to calling me a basketball theory.
I already know how you are, man.
So let's jump to the NBA. There's a lot of stuff going on in the league. I'm sure you'll watch it very closely. Other than Brooklyn, other than them taking the league by storm right now, everybody's talking about Brooklyn. Everybody's talking about Brooklyn. What other teams do you see that are actually the biggest surprise to you, in your opinion, in regards to like, how they've performed so far? I know you're a big Knicks fan, but are there other teams that you see that have really taken, that step to be able to become like a reputable team going forward, that they can be able to be a consistent playoff team? Because the Knicks are taking that step, but do you see another team that actually has caught your eye in regards to that?
I mean, I'll be saying this team, but obviously, it's something that kind of everybody's seeing right now. But Utah, obviously they're number one in the West, and I know the thing on them is, can they do it in the playoffs? But the thing with that I see with Utah that's quite different with a lot of other teams is the fact that they've been playing together for a long period of time, which a lot of teams in the NBA haven't,
Right.
normally done. They've always tried to add a player, really. But for the most part, everybody in Utah is pretty much from last year. And it shows just the continuity of playing with the same people for a long period of time, the success that it can build. And that's a team that honestly, if they were to kind of figure things out when it comes to the playoffs, they can really do some things for a long period of time, especially if they keep them together. Let's say they keep this group for 3 to 4 years, the chances of them actually being able to figure it out and actually do some things in the playoffs, I think would be, a really good surprise to a lot of people because, Utah, they're giving the credit right now, but then everybody just doesn't give them the credit,
Right.
So I
That's
think
what you're
that's a
hearing.
good
Yeah.
spot. If they were to surprise people, would be Utah if they were to go and actually do more than what everybody expects them to do, because they're doing great right now, but they still haven't been given okay, Utah is legit. They're like, it's the same old Utah.
Yeah.
Everybody saying you can't win with Gobert at the 5 because of playoff issues. But if they figure it out, that'll be a big surprise to a lot of teams. And then obviously there's a bunch of other teams. That obviously I take note of, but I don't really take things too seriously just because of the landscape of basketball. One minute they're a team, and then another minute trade deadline, COVID, they're a completely different team. So I'm just happy to, that there's games being played, and I'm just watching, seeing how it plays out.
No, definitely, man. I agree with you in regards to that Utah point. Is that you look at that team and they had some big injuries last year. They had Bogdan go down for a little bit. They didn't have him in the playoffs. Mike Conley wasn't himself in the playoffs because he was banged up. So now that they have a full roster, they can really show people that, hey, maybe we can be able to get over that particular hump that you're telling us that we can't get over. So I think for Utah, it's all going to be matchup based. Like if they get the particular, if they get that 1 seed, it will be very beneficial for them to do that because the matchups will be favorable for them. You know what I'm saying? So,
Exactly.
we'll see what happens. But, it's basketball, like you say, man. Anything can happen. The NBA playoffs they're always interesting. They show you things that you probably not have seen. You may have not even paid attention to because, other than me, I think a lot of people thought the Clippers was going to win last year. I was one of the people that didn't think so. You know what I mean? Because
I didn't think they're going to win either. It's
yeah,
just the first year thing. A lot of teams,
right,
when they come
right,
to that first year, it's just tough, especially when it comes to the playoffs. Obviously, it was a year that we really can't really grade it for what it is because of
right.
what they were dealing with. But history, our history has shown us before, even our so-called super teams in their first year, they struggled. And
Yeah.
being that they struggled in that playoff game, just another part of history that kind of shows itself up.
Yeah, definitely. So like, talking about the Western Conference a little bit, the Lakers, they just beat Portland last night. They ended a 4-game losing streak. Now, a lot of people are concerned, me most important because I'm a Laker fan, that AD is not gonna be where they need him to be when he comes back. Like I believe that calf injury ain't really a calf injury, Jeff. I think it's more the Achilles. Like I think it's more that KD situation that we saw with Golden State. So it's like if he rests, okay, great, but at some point he's a walking time bomb. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, is it better to just shut him down and just don't even worry about it, or just take the risk and see if he can be able to help you come playoff time? Because I don't know, man. I don't know where I fall on this. You as a head coach, you can be able to kind of give me how you would handle it in regards to an organizational standpoint where your star player is a big vital piece of your team. You know, what do you think the Lakers should be doing, you know, going forward?
I mean, I'm sure they're already assessing it for the longevity of it, obviously, because Anthony Davis, this is nothing new. This has kind of been his MO, unfortunately. But they're assessing it, and I think they're gonna basically adjust their strategy based on the seriousness of it. Obviously, that's gonna have to be with LeBron James. Obviously, if you have LeBron James and you're in the position that you kind of are sitting pretty within the standings, that you're able to kind of do some things that's gonna kind of allow Anthony Davis the time for him to get better and then eventually rejoin the team. But it's tough because we never really truly know the severity of these injuries,
Right.
and we don't know whether playing somebody or not playing somebody, how it can affect the player. But
Right.
the great thing about their situation, again, as I stated, they got LeBron James, and having LeBron James, and they have some good pieces. Not to say that they would be the best team in the NBA, but they have pieces that can keep them afloat. And then if they
Yeah.
can carry it to the point where they get into the playoffs, hopefully he can get there before that time comes where he's able to get into some kind of rhythm, and they can
Right.
find some kind of some kind of restriction that doesn't put himself in jeopardy of getting hurt again. I'm sure they're trying to come up with all these different ideas or ways they can, best, use him without putting him in harm's way. They're trying to come up with it, but they just have to find the whatever strategy that's best suits their needs, because if they keep losing this way, then the strategy changes. So
Right.
so they just gotta hope that they're able to just stay afloat, and eventually, when he's able to come back, it can definitely put them in a situation where they're competing for a championship again, because that's the main thing that they're doing. It's what can we do to allow ourselves to win a championship in the end.
That's
If they got to keep him out every single game of the regular season and he plays playoffs and they win, they don't care. They'll do it.
right. Right.
And I'm sure that they'll do it. So it's just finding that exact strategy that's going to work, and have to weather the storm, because it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
He's a big piece of that team, and it showed in the first 4 games that they lost.
Right.
Obviously, they're going to have to adapt, and do other things in order to kind of win games that they need to win. But they definitely need him to go all the way, though, because he is that vital for that team.
Yeah, man, they've made me drink a lot during the last couple of weeks, man. So, I gotta I gotta see it through. But talking about the Knicks, man, listen, I ain't gonna lie to you, Jeff.
Man,
You know how I
I'm
always dog your
excited.
Knicks, man. I dog your Knicks, but man, them boys are playing. They playing. They're top 10 in defensive efficiency. Julius Randle is balling. Like, I think he finally figured it out. Because we've always seen the talent with Julius Randle, right? When he was at Kentucky, we saw it. When he was with the Lakers, we saw it. When he was with the Pelicans, we saw it. But it was always that erratic side of his game that it was just like, oh man, like he doesn't know when to go and to stop and to change speeds and stuff like that. He didn't use his right hand as much. You're starting to see a different Julius Randle. He's very controlled. He's calm. He's poised. He understands exactly what his role is in the offense. Tom Thibodeau, I think, has done a great job with defining what his role is. And the coaching staff has done a great job with these young players. So, what are your thoughts about the Knicks going forward? Do you think that they can be able to sustain this and make the playoffs this year? Or is it just one of those building years for them to be able to launch off next season?
Well, the first thing that I would say is that even before this year, the Knicks never really truly had an identity. And
Right.
as everybody talks about the Knicks, everybody talks about the defense, but you know what it means? It's just identity now.
Right.
Now, Knicks have something that they can call themselves
Right.
that. And being able to build off that is kind of the most important thing. So now they created this identity, and they're building off of it. Obviously, it's going to put them in a good situation. Obviously, we're not a championship team, I think, but we're putting ourselves in a situation to build for the future, wherever it may take us this year. But the part that obviously needs to happen is the offensive side needs to kind of somewhat pick up due to the fact that we're paying so much attention to our defense that we do lack on offense at times, and if we are to be somewhat of a threat towards the playoffs, it would definitely have to come to the point where, we're not relying so much on our defense, and our offense is kind of able to kind of, get some breathing room so that we can actually have a chance to really compete at a high level. Because that's the thing that I see in a lot of these games is that the defense is, going to do what the defense does. But obviously, we're not going to be able to hold everybody down. It's going to be teams that go off and score. But offensively, there's too many times where we go on 6-7 minute runs where we don't score.
Yeah.
Where great defensive effort that we used for about 30-something minutes is down the drain because we couldn't score for 6-7 minutes.
Right.
So I think we have a lot that we could be playing for this year. It's just a matter of how we start to build the other aspects of our game, because we've created the identity of defense, but now what else can we do?
Right.
And that's what, a lot of times when it comes to winning at the high level, what can you do other than what you normally do to win those games? Because everybody's gonna play you for that. Everybody's gonna play you for that. So we definitely gotta work on other aspects of it. And Julius Randle is someone of a great building block. Obviously, he's been able to kind of utilize some of the many skill sets he had for years and really own the position. It takes a lot of responsibility to do the things that he does.
Yeah.
And he always hasn't been mature.
No.
I don't know if it's been through Tom Thibodeau being able to kind of guide him in that realm, or even Kenny Payne, him coming there and kind of having him hone in on those skills. Constantly we hear, with the commentators saying that he worked out hard before the game. That could be one of the many factors.
Right.
Who knows? But obviously, he's starting to, progress into a type of player that we can really rely on as a focal point. And as the other players start to really get better, like, R.J. Barrett, he's starting to become his own. Derrick Rose is a veteran leader. We have Quickly trying to, find himself as an NBA guard, even though he shows flashes of, showing, to be a really elite shooter. So it's just a matter of just building what we have, and eventually, taking it to the point where we're able to compete with the big boys, night in and night out.
Yeah, definitely, man. So do you think that, R.J. Barrett, because like what I've, the fact that he was snubbed last year due to whatever reasons, like, he didn't have a great rookie season, but he didn't have a terrible rookie season. Like, do you think that he has the ability to become the next star that you need? Because, I've always said about the Knicks is that Knicks fans are probably the most knowledgeable fans in all of basketball because they know everybody else's player. So at this point, is it time for them to now focus inward instead of trying to see or find the next big free agent to come in to develop your own next star here? Like, is he that guy that can be able to carry this team and carry the franchise the way you want him to?
I mean, you got to look at it like you got to look at it in two ways. If Tom Thibodeau and that staff is playing to make a playoff push, obviously we can't put RJ in a position to progress because we need instant results. Right. But if we're playing this to rebuild, we can definitely build him into a star type of player. And that's just through experience. He needs touches, honestly, me personally.
Yeah.
As long as he gets touches, you can already see the transformation from last year or even in the beginning of this year. Like now,
right.
He's way more comfortable in a lot of different spots. Early in the year, he was on the ball a lot of times, and you can see his maturation with coming off the picks and making decisions. Now that Rose is here, he's not on the ball as much anymore, but now he's basically on the perimeter and he's catching the ball in triple threat on the perimeter, and he's making better decisions. Now he's catching shooters a little bit more fluid. So through the accumulation of him being put in many different spots or many different roles, I think is going to eventually lead into a good overall product. Obviously it's going to come down to him, really putting in the work and really, really truly learning in all these different situations for him to become a really good player. But everything that he needs is there. He just has to continue the path that he's on, and eventually, when the opportunity arises, he has to kind of just take it by storm, and help to tell the Knicks to the place that they always wanted to be.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I agree. Now, I don't want to talk about these Brooklyn Nets, but I guess we gotta speak about them. But they looking good, Jeff. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I don't want to admit it, man. I don't want to admit it because I'm not a big Harden fan. I'm not a big Kyrie fan. But man, they some bad boys, man. I don't know. The only thing is that I don't know if they can be able to win in the playoffs like this. Like regular season, we understand that they can be able to dominate the regular season, but when it comes to game planning in a 7-game series and doing certain things and not having the role players to be able to help them in key situations, like do you think that they can run into a problem come playoff time with teams like Philly, with teams like Milwaukee? I'm not going to say Boston because Boston's going through some issues right now, but do you think that they can still be able to dominate those teams come playoff time? Or is it just,
I mean, dominate, I wouldn't say dominate because it'll be their first time collectively as a group in that type of situation. So it'll be a learning experience regardless of how many regular season games they play together.
Right.
But the one thing I would say, about this Brooklyn Nets team, when it comes to the playoffs, sometimes the difference between two teams is just a matter of certain players making shots,
Getting the bucket, yeah.
And to have those three type of players on one team, and knowing that in crucial high pressure situations, those guys can get a bucket, I think, and I'm not saying they're gonna win a championship, but they still have pieces that can allow them to, to elevate in those type of scenarios. The defense was the biggest part of the issue that many people thought they couldn't win a championship, but
right.
they're starting to solve that, and obviously them being elite offensively, we know that's going to come down in the playoffs, but it's still better than other teams, strength when it comes to the playoffs, So if they're able to kind of, utilize their strength and be timely at the same time, I think they can still do some good things in the playoffs, But the only thing to me that would hurt them is those moments where they have to make decisions between the three of them that they don't know what to do. Like, okay, who gets the last shot in the playoffs? Who runs the team with the last 2 minutes? And do we do this? And it's just going to be a learning experience for them to all have because they're all alpha males. And it's easy for Harden to say I'm the point guard. I'll pass it to Kyrie now. But in the playoffs, if Harden got 40. He's looking at it like I got 40.
Right.
I'm taking a shot where it's better suited for KD to take the shot. So it's just a matter of just them trying to figure it out. And if they're put in a situation where they got to get a bucket, in that crucial situation, I wouldn't doubt that they could hit it.
Right. Yeah, man. Like I said, man, I don't want to admit it, but they scare me. They scare me a lot.
They definitely are a team to be reckoned with. I'm not gonna lie. KD's out, and they're still, they're still definitely progressing as a team. And we know how KD's a perfect player for the situation that he's in because, as they're getting better as a team, a lot of times when star players are out and then they have to come back, it takes time to kind of like re-assimilate that big time player within the team. But KD's so easy to play with that all you got to do is plug him in and he'll get you 25 and you forgot he was part of the offense.
Yeah. He's not a ball dominant, superstar. But he can be able to play off the ball
when he comes back. He doesn't hurt them. So that's probably the more important aspect of with the KD situation that's kind of prevalent with their player push and eventually player play.
Yeah, definitely, man. I agree with you. I think KD, what he's done this year in regards to proving that you can be able to come back and really still be a dominant player with tearing the Achilles, man. I mean, that I didn't think that he would be at this level. I always thought that, listen, he can still be a 20-point scorer because of, he's a jump shooter. You never lose that jump shot. He's a 7-footer. He can be able to still have that consistent stroke. But what he's doing off the bounce, off the dribble, it's like he's better than he was prior to this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, hats off to him, man. Hats off to the Nets team. If I think that they do have a chance to get to the NBA Finals, I think that Philly poses the biggest threat to them due to the fact that you got a Ben Simmons that can be able to guard all 5 positions. Ben Simmons can do a great job with containing or slowing down KD. You're not going to stop any superstars in this league, but can he slow him down enough? Can they present some matchup problems? Shake Milton, there's a lot of guys also over there that can be able to do some things. So, we're going to see, man. But, right now, they're the best looking team other than the Jazz in the NBA right now. But let's kind of change gears to the NFL. Like the whole Deshaun Watson thing that's going on right now. He just came out and spoke to his newly head coach David Culley and said that I ain't playing for you, bro. Like it's not gonna happen. Like I know that you here. I know that you a black man just like me. I know that you got Lovie Smith as your DC, but I'm not gonna be here. Like what is going to be the conclusion of this? Like I don't see Houston budging, but if he doesn't show up to camp and he's willing to sacrifice big dollars to not show up to camp to get what he wants, like does Houston have to give in at that point? You know what I mean?
Listen, Deshaun Watson has made it clear he ain't playing.
Yeah.
I mean, for him to do what he's done so far and then come back and play, he might have just done enough, PR damage to himself by even, coming back to
right.
Over the stance that he's been putting out there. But I mean, it's more power to him. It's like I said before, it's becoming a situation where the players have all the power. He's given a certain power, and he I guess he has that fuck you money where I'm good regardless. You know how it is. If you got that fuck you money at that point, you willing to sacrifice a few things.
Yeah, exactly.
If he's willing to sacrifice this in order to get what he wants in the end, then more power to him. And then Houston's just gonna have no choice but to cut their losses. I think this is just a simple situation of a player who's been put in a situation where, he's just simply fed up, and at this point, this is the final straw, and whatever the outcome it may be, and obviously it hasn't just been him. You've heard it from many other different sources of, the type of organization that they have that,
Yeah.
It doesn't look that bad that he's doing it. He's doing it because he simply at this point has no choice. So
yeah.
Who knows what's gonna happen? I'm sure it's gonna be a long ongoing saga when it gets to that point, because we know how when certain organizations refuse to give up on a fight, they refuse to give up on a fight, whether they take an L.
They're gonna drag your name through the mud too.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of what are they willing to do and what are they willing to lose, and who knows. And so far, they haven't been willing to lose, so we'll see.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean,
kind of like almost like the James Harden thing, like
same
thing.
Yeah,
but eventually they had to cut ties. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, I look at it from like, the landscape of the NFL has changed the way we've seen over the last few years how you've heard more NFL players start to speak out. You've heard them start to want a little bit more control, and the NBA is they look at that as the key league. Like, okay, look at all this player movement, look at all this player control. We want the same thing, and it's like, okay, cool, that's fine. But the NFL is not designed that way. Like, caps are not designed for player movement like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I don't know if all of this maneuvering behind the scenes and it also in public is going to be beneficial for everybody across the board. It may be beneficial for a guy like Watson, but is it going to hurt other guys down the road? You know what I mean? Because the owners at some point, they're going to snap back. They're going to say, okay, cool. Like, you guys want all this control. Now you're going to have to give back some of that cash. Like, if you want to be moving around like that, we're going to have to take something back. So, we'll see how it happens. But man, I don't think it's going to end well for the majority of everybody in the NFL. Like, the top guys will always be good. Like, they can retire tomorrow and be fine. But, the guys that are just coming into the league, or the guys that are hanging on to roster spots or in, they're on practice squads. Like, I don't know how it's going to benefit them. You know what I mean? Because ramifications are coming. Like, there's going to be some type of situation where it comes to a head. So, we'll see, man. But I agree. It may be time for Houston to cut their losses and just say, listen, let's try to get as much as we can from him, because this is a player that has told us several times he ain't fucking with us. So it's like, at what point do they not get it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just accept the fact and move on. But wanted to pick your brain on the team that we love to root for, Dallas, right? The Cowboys. They have the worst quarterback situation I've ever seen, Jeff. I've never seen a situation this bad in regards to the number. All right, is Dak Prescott, in your opinion, worth $40 million? Is it worth Jerry Jones to say, all right, I'm going to cave and give him that 40 mil? And we know how it is in football. If you pay a quarterback a certain amount of money, the rest of your team will suffer in regards to trying to fill out different things. We all know that the Cowboys' defense last year was historically terrible. And giving Dak Prescott a $40 million contract over the next 4 years, how is that going to help them? And I think this is what Jerry's looking at for the first time. He's looking at a situation where it's like, I can't overpay. I've always overpaid for everybody. I overpaid for Tony Romo. I overpaid for Zeke. I overpaid for DeMarcus Lawrence. I overpaid for Amari Cooper. I overpaid for Jalen Smith. I can't overpay for Dak. And everybody's looking at it like, oh, well, you gave everybody else enough, but he's trying to be responsible because he knows giving the quarterback this amount of money can really hinder you going forward if he's not a great player. And in my opinion, Dak is a top 12, maybe 11 quarterback. So wow. At 11, you getting $40 million. I don't see how that can be able to help your team going forward. What's your thoughts on that?
All right. I don't know about the top 12 thing.
Hold on. First off, before you answer, where do you have Dak?
I haven't really gone through the rankings for me to know that. But what I would say, though, prior to him getting injured, if he was to hypothetically, if he was able to play the duration of the whole season, I don't think you would rank him top 12, because at the pace he was going, he would have been a top 8-7 quarterback, I think.
But maybe you're looking from a pure numbers standpoint. Like, most of those numbers, Jeff, was garbage numbers. Come on, man.
Yeah, they're garbage, but that was at the beginning of the season. Obviously, at the beginning of the season, everything was in array with COVID and everything like that. So there was a lot of things that obviously were kind of oversaturated. The true Dak and the true identity of everything would have definitely manifested itself towards the end of the season when teams started to get a little bit more of a structured environment where the games were starting to be more NFL-like. But I think it would have definitely developed into something that, we could really would have really saw his true value as a quarterback. Now back to the $40 million contract, right? This is a perfect example of not exactly if he's worth $40 million, but this is a perfect example of him. Is it worth not to pay him $40 million? Meaning, I'm a Dallas fan, but obviously Dallas has been an organization that's been, about winning for years.
Right.
And in the last several, years, we've been in a situation where we are projected to have successful years.
And then don't.
I mean, but that's all circumstantial, injuries, stuff like that. But from looking at the roster from top to bottom, we're looked at as a team that should be in a position to be at least contending for playoffs, contending for Super Bowls, depending on how good we are that year. But with that being said, having a specific type of quarterback, meaning a top tier quarterback. I wouldn't say elite. Top tier, right? Because you're not going to call Dak elite.
No.
I wouldn't call him elite yet, but he's definitely top tier. He's definitely somebody where even if no matter what team he played on, if he was your quarterback, you somewhat are at a good place where Dak could somewhat bring it. He's
a franchise quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback.
With that being said, to have that quarterback, if you do not have Dak, where does that put you as an organization for what Jerry Jones wants Dallas to be? So is it worth not paying him the 40 to
Yes.
go into a place of unknown? Or we got to pay him 40 because at least we know the place that we want to possibly be in, he has to be there. So that's to me the true value of Dak. And um, would all the NFL teams pay him 40? Absolutely not. But the situation that we are, we don't have a pool of quarterbacks where we can get in right away and replace his production. His value might be 40 million to us, and I think that's the biggest thing that he's assessing is like, is he worth not paying 40 million? Because then where does that put us as an organization,
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely see that part of it. I'm looking at it from, okay, if they don't pay him 40 and franchise tag him, he's on the hook for $38 million next season. And he's on hook for the full $38 million. So his cap hit will be $38 million, which is a lot to have to pay for, right? My strategy of, I didn't understand last year when they decided to franchise tag him. I wanted Dallas to say, all right, Dak, listen, we want you as a quarterback, but we want to let the market assess what your value is. Hit the market, see what you get, give us the right to match. Why can't they just do that now? Because we both know, Jeff, we both know if Dak would have hit the market today as a free agent, he's not getting $40 million from no team. He would have to settle for 34 to around $35, $36 million a year. Whether he gets the 4 years that he wants or he has to settle for an additional 5, teams want the length. Players want the annual salary as well as a shortened contract to be able to hit the market again to get another big contract. So it's a give and take, right? But he's not getting $40 million from any team. So why doesn't Dallas just do what I just said? Let him test the market, let him see exactly what his value is, and then give him, talk to him and say, give us the right to match that. Like, wouldn't that be a good strategy? Because, I saw I saw Rich say, go get RG3. We can be able to have stopgap quarterbacks until you be able to figure it out. Because, bro, we saw what Andy Dalton did this year. Andy Dalton didn't play too bad this year, especially with the wide receiving core that we have. Dak is definitely an upgrade from Dalton, but we also can be able to find a Ryan Fitzpatrick to be able to plug the gap for a year, draft the quarterback, and let a guy develop and then go that way. Like, you don't have to commit to Dak long term if you don't want to. And I think that's the problem. I think that's what's going on right now is that Jerry's looking at all angles. Okay, I would have gave Dak an extension 3 years ago. I wanted him to prove himself because I didn't think that he was worth the money then. It hasn't changed 3 years later. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's still looking at Dak like, you're good, but I don't know, man. Like, there's just something that's holding Jerry back. And it's like, just let him test the market. Let him test it and see what happens, because I can guarantee it's going to be like a Le'Veon Bell situation. Remember Bell when he was on the Steelers? He wanted top dollar from the Steelers. They kept franchise tagging him. They gave him an offer, and then he was like, nah, I ain't taking that. It's disrespectful. I'm going to hit the market. He ended up hitting the market. He took less from the Jets than he would have got from the Steelers based on principle. So that's how I'm looking at it. Don't give in to what Dak is demanding, because at the end of the day, you giving $40 million to Dak and he ends up not being the guy, you on the hook for that money. And you're seeing what Philly and also the Rams are dealing with now. They gave Goff, they gave Wentz those contracts. Both of those quarterbacks are no longer with those teams. And Dak was in that particular draft class as well. So you're looking at 3 quarterbacks in the same situation in regards to them being good, but them not being good enough for the team to actually say, you're my guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
you're right. And I'm not saying that what Jerry Jones is doing is wrong.
Yeah.
Obviously he has to look at the overall picture, and that obviously, and going into negotiations, that's the factors in which he puts in.
Right.
But then obviously the person he's negotiating with is negotiating for his individual self.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, we know, he was a third round draft pick. He was outperforming his salary for
Right.
years.
Right.
He could be feeling that they owe him this money, and
Yeah.
and who knows what the conversations were before they even got into negotiations, because you
Right.
know how Jerry Jones is, man.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones is the type of guy that's going to tell you, we're going to take care of you, you're our guy, and that's what he generally is, a loyal
Yes, he
owner,
is.
especially to his players, because when he loves them, he loves them all the way through and through. Like
Right.
we see how
Right.
he did with Tony Romo.
Good or bad.
Yeah, so he loves them through and through. So, we don't really know what those conversations were like before, to where it got to the point where it was, it came to this situation where it can't be a
Right.
mutual
They
agreement
haven't
between the two.
spoken a while. Yeah. They
Yeah,
haven't spoken a while.
obviously there's a difference between the way they obviously see things, and it's hurting us as an organization, because they don't know what to do moving forward, and
Right.
it's who knows where it's gonna go. I have no idea. I'm probably sure they're gonna franchise tag him again, because again, 40 million is a lot, and just seeing what happened with Wentz and seeing what happened with all these other quarterbacks
Yeah.
that lead these organizations in a tough spot, it's hard to kind of commit that. Like, to me personally, they're just 3 years. They're 3 years past the time that they should have made the contract.
Yeah.
Like, if they
Yeah. That's
would
right.
have started this 3 years ago, it'd have been good. But because they wanted to delay it and test the waters, and it
Yeah.
comes down. Sometimes these players be wanting some respect. Damn that. They be
Of
like, yo,
course.
listen,
Of course.
you just didn't see me for what I was gonna be, and then
Right.
now all of a sudden, now you want to give me my money? You should have gave it to me when I
Right.
told you I was gonna be there. So
So now I'm gonna make you pay for it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so it's part of the NFL, and it's part of the NFL, and that's because of the whole structure of contracts of the NFL, and that's always going to be an
Yeah.
issue like this. So who knows, man? I hope it pans out where we can actually keep them. But obviously for the overall structure of the team, it helps if we franchise tag them, because we can actually do some other things on the roster, which can actually fill out a team that's going to help us win. Because we,
Yeah.
we we need much more than just a quarterback. I mean, we need the
So
quarterback, but there's other
that
things that we
that
need too. So
that defense is hurting, Jeff, and that offensive line is hurting,
yeah,
bro.
but you know what though? The defense, I don't think the defense that far removed, because I think the coordinator switch definitely hurt. If we didn't have the coordinator switch, it wouldn't have been as bad. But
Yeah.
obviously, with the injuries, with the coordinator switch, it definitely didn't help the situation, and obviously just played out the way it played out. But we had shown flashes throughout the years, even though weren't that great. But we showed flashes that we could play defense. It's just the consistency of it.
Yeah, definitely, man. I agree. So, before we head out, I like to do a little rapid fire,
Oh,
because
okay.
that's what I do on the show. So, you just give me one word answers. This is your opinion. I ain't gonna fight you on it. I may talk to you after, but I like to hear what you think. So, better player, Magic Johnson or LeBron James?
LeBron James.
Okay. Who would you rather have, Iverson or Steph Curry?
Hmm. Steph.
Steph. Okay. Let's see. Better defense, the 2000 Ravens or the 85 Bears?
I mean, I didn't really see the '85 Bears live. I was 1 year old, so I mean, based on what I saw, obviously I would go with the Ravens. But I mean, I heard the '85 Bears was legit.
Yeah.
But I'd have to go with the Ravens, because I saw that, firsthand.
So that first hand, yeah. All right. Better dynasty, Golden State Warriors dynasty or the Lakers dynasty recently in the last 20 years? It's Kobe Shaq era, Steph, Clay, KD era.
I go Lakers. I go Lakers. I think. I mean, you said one word answers, right? We don't
Nah,
define it.
you can go ahead and go into it. It's fine. It's
No, I
fine.
mean, it was just something that the Golden State hit the league with, that I think definitely helped them, to create that dynasty. So with the Lakers, I think that was just more of an organization just being dominant with having in and out each year.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. James Harden or Dwayne Wade?
Damn, that's a tough one. Me personally, I go basically I go based off the fact of an overall product. I'm gonna go Wade. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
Wade.
I agree. I agree. Wade
Yeah,
was a 6'4" shot blocking monster. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you never saw a
yeah,
guard that size do what he was doing.
yeah. I'll go Wade. You know, I mean, Harden's phenomenal. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would never take nothing away from him. But off of preference, just off for me, I'm gonna go Wade.
Okay. Kawhi Leonard or Scottie Pippen?
Oh man, I hate to say this, man. You know why I'd go Scotty, man? Because he made me so miserable in the 90s, man. I gotta say, man. They're just seeing that film of him dunking on Union pisses me off.
Right. Yo, they keep replaying that shit too. Anytime you go on MSG, bro, they replay that stupid video. I hate it.
I gotta give Scotty credit, man.
Yeah, facts. All right, better basketball player, me and you.
Come on, man. Oh, man. Yo, listen, BJ. Yo, listen, man. I'll never forget those days, man.
Tell the truth, man. Tell the truth. Yo, Rich, he gonna be lying in here, man. Tell the truth. I'll be cutting you off. All right, I'll be cutting you off. I'll be locking you up, man. Listen, tell the truth in here, man. This is a truth telling circle right now.
You definitely made me go into my third or fourth move every time I went, man. I definitely had to go into a few spin moves behind the backs. Definitely had to go into the deep shelf, man, with your cheating ass, man.
Oh, but listen, I wanted to tell you about this too. Like, are you hyped about the potential of college hoops probably coming back? Because you know, if college hoops comes back, you know we're gonna have to get the old school seasons again, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, of course. Man. We and my brother already started talking about that, man. Come on, man.
Listen, don't be putting no rules on me though. I don't need no rules on me. Okay?
Come on, we have to, man. We know how you do, man. You're a cheater. But you know me. I don't be caring. You know, we really be looking out for all the cheating rules, man.
That's why I respect you. That's why I respect you, because you're not gonna put that pressure on me. You're gonna let me be who I am. Rich, on the other hand, he like to put rules and stuff on me. I can't be put down with some rules. I can't do it. If I follow a rule, I'm gonna make sure I try to bend that rule. That's just what I do. That's what I do, man. I'm sorry.
Don't be offended though. He do it to everybody, man.
Right.
He do it to me. He do it to my cousin Rick. Any game we playing, man, he got like 20 rules set aside for whatever he do good at.
Yo, he's the worst. He's the worst. All right, Jeff. Well, last question before I let you go, my man. Who is the greatest athlete in any sport, in your opinion?
Wow, that's a deep question right there. I got a really, man, the greatest athlete. Oh man, greatest.
No matter what sport. Listen, this is your opinion, man. It may change tomorrow, but you know what comes to your mind when you talk about, like, when you think about athlete, like just a dominant performer, whatever sport it was.
I mean, there's people that come up like Dion, obviously LeBron,
Yeah,
Mike. The best of them all, man, that's tough. Man, I'll probably piss a lot of people off, man, but it'll probably have to be LeBron.
my man.
He's a freak. I mean, just like this. I mean, then we also had dude that played football, baseball.
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson. Oh man, there's so many people, man.
Yeah.
But obviously, you know, my generation is LeBron James. So I've seen him from the beginning of his pro career all the way till now. So I've seen him the most.
Yeah.
So I would say probably him, just on the longevity of his athleticism too. Jesus.
Right.
Like his athleticism throughout the years, even though it's not as great as it was when he first came in the league, but it's still head and shoulders above a lot of the other elite players, you know. So,
right.
I would definitely say that.
Yeah, man. Listen, good answer, my dude. Well, listen, like I said, man, Jeff, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the show today, man. Like, you know, hopefully I get you back on, and you know, you tell the truth. You tell the truth about, you know, how I locked you up over the years, man.
Yo, you know what's so funny, man? I wish we could replay it, man, but I quit playing basketball about 3 years ago, man.
Listen, I'm done too, man. Like this ACL took me out, man. I ain't coming back.
I don't even got no injuries, man. I just stopped playing. They try to get me to go every other week, man. I refuse to play.
Those days are done, man. They done, bro.
I'm mentally checked out, man. I can sit down on my couch, man, with a hoagie, some chips, soda, and watch the Knicks play, and not even think about the end of basketball.
Oh man, I'm right there with you, bro. Trust me. All right, man. But yo, I'll talk to you, man. I appreciate it. All right, later. All right, fellas, ladies, gentlemen. You know, that was Jeffrey Jean-Baptiste, head coach of the Brooklyn College Bulldogs. That's my man. Like, you know, I can't even go back that far. Like, I mean, like that's family. So, you know, this has been the All Even Podcast special interview. I'll see you guys next week.